Special guest. Boys and girls, we're sitting in here today because we can't be outside. It's a little bit chilly. But when you walk by the Bolles Bulldog insignia outside, did you see something over where we usually have our flags? Cans. We have all of those cans, and thanks to you all for running and for bringing those cans in. We can give those cans to children that don't have as much food and as many things to eat. Also, we'd like to thank Mrs. Phillip for helping arrange. We'd like to thank the Barksdales for also helping to. We'd like to thank Coach Stone for making sure. Most of all, we want to thank all of you for running and for bringing in our cans. Boys and girls, we have a very special guest. Let me see your zero. And I know you're not reading your book if you've got a birthday book. I know that book is closed. Boys and girls, we have a very special guest today. A man named Mr. MaliVai Washington is here, and he's famous. He's famous because he was an amazing tennis player. But you know what? I think he's even more famous for what he does now, because now he runs a foundation and he helps children in another part of town. And he's going to come up today and tell you what he does. So I would like to make sure you're sitting flat. You have your zero, and we welcome Mr. MaliVai Washington here.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I hope everyone is doing good. How are all of you? Good. Earlier I had on my University of Michigan hat, and there was a young boy who walked by who said he was a Michigan State fan. Where is he? All right, you too. I'm actually going to keep my eye on you. Okay? And you better be paying attention while I'm up here talking. But I am very happy to be here to talk to all of you today. I also want to say thank you to Mr. Chris and Miss Phillips back there. Thank you so much. So what I thought I would do, I would start out talking about my favorite subject, that's me. And then I would talk to you a little bit about my youth foundation and all of those canned goods that all of you have been collecting. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about why it's so important to give back to the community. So you heard I was a tennis player. Did any of you, by a raising of your hand, any of you play tennis? Wow, a lot of you play tennis. I guarantee you I can beat all of you in tennis. I've never lost to anyone who's shorter than this right here. So I feel pretty good about my chances of beating all of you in tennis. But I started playing tennis at 5 years old. I've played all around the world. I've played in about 33 countries around the world, and I'm going to quiz you later on that, so you better be paying attention. I'm going to quiz you. One thing you'll notice is I have no problem calling people out. Sometimes maybe it's because they're talking, sometimes it's because they're right in front of me. For no other reason than that. Like I might call you out later, because I really like you. But I played around the world is what I love to do. I went to the University of Michigan where I played tennis. I'm sure some of you someday might be at the University of Michigan, which would be awesome. Right now in Michigan, it feels even colder than this. And there's snow on the ground. Wouldn't it be great to go to the University of Michigan and be in the snow? That'd be tremendous. I hope some of you end up at the University of Michigan. So I played there. I turned professional. I played professional tennis for 10 years, and that's where I did most of my traveling, all over Europe and Asia and North America and South America, and where else did I go? Central America, Australia. So I went all over the place doing what I love to do, playing professional tennis. But you know what? I thought school was so important that after I finished playing professional tennis, I actually went back to school. Here in Jacksonville, I went back to school. That's how important I thought it was. It was amazing because a lot of the students that I went back to school with, they thought I was the teacher. It's like, I'm not the teacher, I'm one of the students. What are you talking about? So I went back to took classes at Florida State College, Jacksonville. I eventually got my degree from University of North Florida. Some of you might even go to UNF. You think you might go to UNF? But you don't want to be an osprey? Yeah, sure you do. So anyways, so I hope all of you feel like your education is that important. It is. And you have a great opportunity because you're going here to the Bolles School, and they give you a great education, and I hope and I know so many of you are learning so much. So when you're in school, when you're in class, try to learn as much as you possibly can. It's going to pay off for you for years and years and years. So I went to school, I went to college, and then I decided, you know what, I want to start a youth foundation. And my foundation, just so I wouldn't forget the name, I named it the MaliVai Washington Youth Foundation. That way I'll never forget what the name of it is. I'm amazed at how quiet everyone is. You come to my foundation, it's not always that quiet. I don't know why. Maybe they've heard my story too many times. But I started a foundation for a lot of students, and all of the students in my foundation, we start at kindergarten, and we go all the way up through high school. So we have a lot of students. We have about 200 students in my foundation, and what we do, we have an after-school program. And do some of you play tennis after school? And maybe play soccer after school? Any of you have piano after school? What about football after school? Yeah, so a lot of you do a lot of different things after school. Well, the 200 students in my foundation, you know what they do after school? They come to my foundation. We have a building. We actually have 2 buildings that we use. And they come to my foundation 5 days a week after school. Instead of doing football or basketball or Spanish or piano, they come to my foundation and we help them with their homework. So where do you do your homework? Do you do your homework at home with your parents? Well, all of our students, they come to my foundation, and that's where they do their homework. And we also do a lot of life skills programs. I know one of the things that in the song that you were singing earlier, it talked about courage, and it talked about all those things that I'm forgetting about right now.
Integrity.
It talks about integrity, compassion. Well, all of those things, those are the things that we try to teach our students at my foundation. So you guys are getting that here at school, and we try to teach them that at my foundation. And instead of basketball or football, we also have a tennis component. I think tennis is the greatest sport in the world. How old are you? 5? Do you play tennis? You do play a little tennis? I think 5 is the great age, and 6 is an even better age to start playing tennis. So you're almost 6? I think that almost 6 is a great age to start playing tennis as well. Is that what you guys do?
Find your zero. Find your zero.
Find your zero. I love that. So I think tennis is the greatest sport in the world, and I hope all of you choose to play a little bit of tennis at some point. But my foundation, a lot of the students in my foundation, I know so many of you are going to have these big spreads for Thanksgiving dinner. You're going to eat turkey, you're going to eat chicken and ribs and all this food. Candied yams and pecan pie. What's your favorite dessert? Ice cream. There's going to be ice cream there. I read your mind. I knew what you were thinking. Your favorite dessert's ice cream. So there's going to be all these, and that's what you're going to have for Thanksgiving. But the reality is there are so many students right here in Jacksonville, they don't have a lot of the things that you have. They're not going to have a huge Thanksgiving dinner. Like me, I know my family and I, we're going to go to South Florida, and we're going to be around a lot of relatives, and there's going to be a lot of food. But a lot of students don't have that. So in that regard, you guys are very, very fortunate that you have the ability, and your parents have the ability to do a lot of the things you want to do, whether it's the things after school or have a great Thanksgiving dinner or a great Christmas holiday and things like that. Even at my foundation, during the Christmas holiday, have you guys started to make your holiday lists or your Christmas lists? So but here's the thing. So many of you, your parents and your relatives are going to be buying you those gifts, right? And you're going to your parents and you want the iTouch and the iPad and you want the iMac and all these things. But there are a lot of students right here in Jacksonville, they're not going to be able to get all of those things that you get, okay? Because they don't have that ability and their parents don't have the ability. Their parents may not have the money. So my foundation, we actually go out into the community and ask a lot of families and corporations to help us buy gifts for the students in my foundation. So for Thanksgiving, you know all of those canned goods that you guys have been bringing to school? And Mr. Chris back there, Mr. Chris, raise your hand real quick. Mr. Chris right there, he literally, I saw him pulling a lot of that food. He had pallets and pallets of food. He was pulling it down A1A on his back. That's how badly he wanted to get all of those canned goods here. So he's responsible for getting a lot of the food here. But then I know, how many of you brought in some canned goods and food? And that's tremendous. And I got to say thank you for that. And I want you to know that all of those canned goods, all of those things, those are going to go to the students in my foundation. And their Thanksgiving would be very, very different if it wasn't for all of you. All of you are going to a great school. So I really hope you appreciate it. So go home and give your parents a big hug and say, thanks for everything you do for me, and thanks for sending me to the Bolles school, because your brains are growing. I think I can almost see your brains growing. You're just getting smart right now. So you guys have an opportunity, and I just want you to appreciate it. You guys have an opportunity that so many students don't have. So take advantage of it, even at your very young ages. Appreciate it. And at some point, I hope for all of the adults here, and for so many of you students, I hope at some point I have the opportunity to take you to my youth foundation and just let you see what we do. So outside we have, how many, are you good with numbers? Okay, come here for a second. You stay right over here with me. Tell everyone your name if you would.
Will.
Will. So Will, when you walked in, you saw a bunch of canned goods outside, right? There's a lot of food. How many cans of food do you think are out there? So Will, hey, listen up for a sec. He didn't hear the question, and he was thinking, how many canned foods, how many cans of food do you think are outside? No getting answers.
14,000.
There's about, wait. Are you sure? Did you count them all or what? Be honest. Now, let me ask you, did you bring in some canned goods and some food? How many did you bring in? 5. Give them a round of applause, everybody. So boys and girls, I think that is it for me. Again, thank you for all of your help and everything you've done for my foundation and giving back to the community. That is tremendous.